Hi, good morning. I'm going to talk about two important words found in the Bible. They are Hebrew words, Hessed and Tzedakah. Hessed is difficult to translate. No single word in English captures its meanings. Translators use words like likeness, loving kindness, mercy, loyalty. Perhaps loyal love is close, that is Hesed. Hesed is one of the richest, most powerful words in the Old Testament. It reflects the loyal love that people committed to the God of the Bible should have for one another. It is not a mood. Hesed is not primarily something people feel. It is something people do for other people who have no claim on them. The word Hesed is displayed throughout the story of Ruth, where it is usually translated kindness. Love is something we do, not primarily something we feel. On the other hand, Tzedakah is a Hebrew word literally meaning justice or righteousness, but commonly used to signify charity. Though it is a different concept from charity, because tzedakah is an obligation and charity is typically understood as a spontaneous act of goodwill and a maker of generosity. It is based on the Hebrew word sadak, meaning righteousness, fairness, or justice. It is related to the Hebrew word tzaddik, meaning righteous, as an adjective. In Judaism, tzedakah refers to the religious obligation to do what is right and just, which Judaism emphasizes are important parts of living a spiritual life. Maimonides says that while the second highest form of tzedakah is to give donations anonymously to unknown recipients, the highest form is to give a gift, loan, or partnership that will result in the recipient supporting himself instead of living upon others. Unlike philanthropy or charity, which is completely voluntary, tzedakah is seen as a religious obligation, which must be performed regardless of financial standing and must even be performed by poor people. Tzedakah is considered to be one of the three main acts that can annul a less than favorable heavenly decree. The term is synonymous with the tzedakah or sadaqah. Anyway, what is Hesed? Coming back to Hesed, it is usually translated as kindness, but it also means love. Not love as emotion or passion, but love expressed as deed. Theologians define Hesed as covenant love. Covenant is the bond by which two parties pledge themselves to one another, each respecting the freedom and integrity of the other, agreeing to join their separate destinies into a single journey that they will travel together, fearing no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23 verse 4. Unlike a contract, it is an open-ended relationship lived toward an unknown future. In one of the loveliest lines in the prophetic literature, God says to Israel through prophet Jeremiah, I remember the kindness, Hesed, of your youth, the love of your betrothal, how you were willing to follow me through the desert in an unknown land. Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 2. Hesed is the love that is loyalty, and the loyalty that is love. It is born in the generosity of faithfulness, the love that means being ever present for the other in hard times as well as good. Love that grows stronger, not weak, over time. It is love moralized into small gestures of help and understanding, support, and friendship. The poetry of everyday life written in the language of simple deeds. Those who know it experience the world differently from those who do not. It is not for them a threatening and dangerous place. It is one where trust is rewarded precisely because it does not seek reward. Hesed is the gift of love that begets love. More even Tzedakah, the concept of Hesed in Judaism is learned from the acts of God Himself. Or Hama, son of Anina, said, "What does the Torah mean when it says, 'You shall walk after the Lord your God'?" Deuteronomy chapter 13:5. Is it possible for a human being to walk after the divine presence? Does it not say, "For the Lord your God is a consuming fire"? Deuteronomy chapter 4:24. Rather, the meaning is, "You shall walk after the attributes of the Holy One. Blessed be He." Just as He clothes the naked, as it is written, "And the Lord God made for Adam and his wife garments of skin and clothed them." Genesis chapter 3:21. So shall you clothe the naked. Just as He visits the sick, as it is written, Genesis 18:1, "The Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre." So you visit the sick. Just as the Holy One, blessed be He, comforts the mourners, as is written in Genesis chapter 25 verse 11, "And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed Isaac his son." So you comfort mourners. Just as the Holy One, blessed is He, buries the dead, as is written in Deuteronomy chapter 3, "And He buried them in the valley." So you bury the dead. Where Tzedakah is a gift or loan of money, Hesed is the gift of the person. It costs less and more, less because its gestures often cost little or nothing, more because it takes time and attention. Existential generosity, the gift of self to self. More than anything else, Hesed humanizes the world. The biblical vignettes cited by the Talmud belong to an age when, outside Israel, the gods were seen as powers to be found in nature, terrifying in their capacity to create havoc and destruction. At best, indifferent, at worst, hostile to humankind. The God is to be found in acts of Hesed. Loving care must have been almost unintelligible, yet that is how the patriarchs and matriarchs experienced the divine presence. It is also how they communicated it. Sarah Kestenbaum's welcoming gesture belongs to a long tradition that began in the famous scene in Genesis, when Abraham, sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of midday, sees three strangers passing by, runs to greet them, and brings them food to eat and water to drink. Genesis chapter 18, verse 1 to 3. He did not know that they were angels. The text describes them at that point simply as men, as if to imply that Abraham and Sarah were the kind of people who treated all visitors as if they might be angels. That is no small part of why they were chosen to be the grandparents of a new kind of faith. "You are," said God through the prophet Isaiah, "my witnesses," not by seeking to convert those of another faith, but simply by reaching out to embrace the image of God in another human being, by seeing the divine other in the human other, because that is how God reveals Himself. Abraham and Sarah, say the sages, brought God into the world without metaphysical arguments or theological proofs, awesome miracles or military victories, but by welcoming strangers and giving them food and shelter. When their guests were about to leave, they would begin to thank the couple, but they would reply, "Don't thank us, thank God, whose blessings we have shared." That was all, and it was enough. Hessed is born in the phrase in the second chapter of Genesis. It is not good for man to be alone. The duality of the human condition is not just that we are body conjoined with soul, the dust of the earth joined to the breath of God. It is also that we are self-conscious and therefore capable of being lonely, not just alone. Homo sapiens is uniquely creative yet also uniquely vulnerable. There is something incomplete within the self that seeks completion in an another, that cannot be achieved by power forcing the other to do our will, for that humiliates the other by treating him or her as an extension of ourselves. It can only be achieved by conferring dignity on the other, by bringing him or her a gift that, whatever its tangible form, is really the offer of our person. Hesed is the redemption of solitude, the bridge we build across the ontological abyss between I and thou. Thank you.